Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's the Mexican coming to you guys with a brand new video, and this is the recap for Week 5 of the Detroit Red Wings season, and they went 1-1-1 this week, which is not necessarily a good record, especially for what they're fighting for and where they're at in the standings, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a bad record because it's technically over 500 this week, but, I mean, we'll get into the games, obviously. So Detroit this week took on the New York Rangers in New York. Then they came home for 2 games to face off against the Monteral Canadiens and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the first of those games was, like I said, the Rangers, where it was not a good game. The Detroit did not look good at all during this game. They came to life in the last 5 minutes of the game, which you can't do, especially against the Rangers. So face stats, obviously, they kind of paint the picture. Shots 32-28 to New York. Face-off 58.5% to 41.5% for the Rangers. Power play 2 for 3 for New York. 0 for 6 for Detroit. Their power play has suffered these last few games. Penalty minutes 12-6 in favor of Detroit, technically speaking. Hits 21-9 in favor of New York, and blocks 9 they were 9 even. Detroit just didn't look good at all this game. Husso didn't look good. There was not a single player on this team that you could say looked good. It baffled me that they kept Petrie in this game, but sat Holl, or no, they sat Mata for this game. I'm pretty sure it was either Mata or Holl they sat, and I'll get into Petrie in a whole different video. That requires a completely different video, but yeah, it wasn't a good game. If we look at the goals, Trocheck opened up the scoring a minute and 40 in, and it was an assist from Gustafsson. A goal Husso shouldn't have let in. That was not a good goal for Husso to let in. And it was really the only one of this game that you can 100% pin on Husso. Obviously, your goalie, when your defense and the rest of your team's not playing good, you got to hope you can rely on your goaltender to steal save some goals. Husso couldn't do that very well. Husso hasn't been able to do that very well all season, really. Then Kreider came in 7.5 minutes into the second, makes it 2-0 New York from Gustafsson and Panarin. Then Trocheck again from Zibanejad and Kreider, making it 3-0. Then Panarin from Lafreniere, making it 4-0. And then Cooley coming in from Jones and Schneider, making it 5-0 Detroit, going into the third period. 5-0 Rangers going into the third period. It was not pretty. And the score showed that the Rangers 100% deserved to win this game, hands down, because Detroit just didn't show up. Going into the third period, 7 minutes and 55 seconds into the period, Rassmussen gets his second of the season, thankfully, because he has had a bad run of just missing wide open nets. Whether it be bad puck bounces, just sheer bad luck, it just wasn't going in for him. Thankfully, this one does. Then, little less than 30 seconds later, Kostin comes in, and with a beautiful move. I gotta give it. It was a beautiful move. Oh, that was assisted by Schrott and Petrie, by the way, Rassmussen goal. Kostin gets his first as a Red Wing, and his first of the season, obviously, from Schrott and Fischer. Fischer looks great, has been looking great in that depth role. Then Copp comes in with his 5th of the season from Compher, and Husso gets his first NHL career point. But that's where all the good news ends. Husso saved 23 out of 26. 27 out of 32. I was looking at the wrong stat. 844 save percentage, not good enough for Husso, and it was upsetting to watch this game because Husso did make some solid saves, and that first one was 100% on him. You can't just let that one in. But he was hung. He didn't make a lot of good saves, and you have to kind of hope your goaltender can bail you out in situations where your team just doesn't show up. But at the same time, he was left out to dry so many times. Like, there was one goal where I think it was either Schrott or Petrie that just it was Schrott. He chased them up to the point. He chased one of the four. I don't know who it was, but he chased one of the Rangers up to the point. Petrie was somewhere up in the slot, and there was nobody covering anybody in front. And Husso was just like, Fabbri was there, but the guy who scored the goal is like a foot taller than Fabbri. So you can't expect a forward to do the job of the defenseman. You just can't. And it killed me to see Husso in this situation because, like I said, I don't think Husso performed good in this game, but he didn't deserve to be hung out to dry that many times. And it was surprising they didn't pull him at all, just simply because you got to do it for the sake of his numbers and the sake of his confidence. You know, if your goalie's getting pelted and you're down 5-0, you got to pull the goalie. Because you keep him in and they keep scoring, it's just going to hurt his confidence and it's going to make him worse down the road. So it's things you got like that you got to play by hand. And Reimer was the backup that game. And this whole theme of these 3 games is going to be put Lyon in the fucking net. Give Lyon a chance. There's no way he can be any worse than both Husso and Reimer have been. And Reimer, theoretically, technically speaking, by the numbers, has been the better of the 2 goalies. So, but yeah, that was the Rangers versus the Red Wings. It was a very, very bad game by the Red Wings. Okay, next we have the game against the Monteral Canadiens where they came home. And this was a little bit better of a game, but still not a very good one. Once again, the Red Wings didn't show up in the first period very well. They did for maybe the first, maybe the first 5 minutes. It was pretty much all Red Wings, but after that, things fell apart pretty quickly. And this was a game where, I'll save it to the end, but going over the face stats, 29-27 shots on goal in favor of Detroit. Face-offs, 53.4% to 46.6% to Montreal. Power plays, Montreal 2 for 5, Detroit 0 for 4. Again, power play really struggling. Penalty minutes, 22 to Detroit, 10 for Montreal. Some of these penalties were not good penalties, just to be called, because they weren't really penalties, and some were blatantly missed like usual. Next hits were 18-17 in favor of Montreal, and blocks 14-12 in favor of Montreal as well. Like I said, better game from Detroit, but they still went down 2-0 after the first or the second. They had to fight back, tied it up, and they lost in overtime because of... we'll get into that. But looking at the scoring, first on the board was Matheson from Newhook. They didn't go down 2-0, by the way. They didn't go down 2-0. I missaid that. They went down 2-1. But Matheson from Newhook gets Montreal on the board first and 7 minutes into the first period. But that's all that happens in the first. Second period, Christian Fischer gets his first of the season and as a Red Wing from Rassmussen and Sherratt. That makes it tied 1-1 going into the third. Third period, Suzuki gets it 26 seconds into the game. Third period from a power play that happened that was carried over from the second period. But then Compher gets one unassisted. It was a beautiful wrist shot. He threaded the needle on that bitch. And then in overtime, oh my God. Okay, so this is once again where we get into the conversation of goaltending. Because let's be real, Reimer did not have a good game. Straight up, he did not have a good game. He made some solid saves, kept it only 2 goals to Montreal up until OT. But, oh my God, I don't know what went through his head. But 3-on-3 overtime is not the time where you try to play off a penalty or try to do something like or try to, have a penalty but not be called or something like that. That is not the time you try to do something like that. I don't know what the hell Reimer was thinking with this move, but basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Montreal had a bit of a kind of a break-in. They take the shot, Reimer gloves it, and then as they're coming at him, for whatever reason, he thinks that's the best time to throw the puck out and have his team trying to carry it. Now, granted, thankfully, Larkin and Debrincat were able to carry it up the ice. The problem was, behind the play, Reimer decided to fall on Caulfield's stick and just hold it. Just keep holding it. Like, if you're going to do that, you can't hold on to his stick for like 10 fucking seconds. You can't do that. That's going to be a penalty. Even the ref was looking at him like, he gave him the benefit of the doubt. You could tell he gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was looking at it like, okay, maybe he did genuinely fall and he just can't get up right now, stuff like that. But no, he just keeps holding Caulfield's stick. And it's like, dude, you have to be able to play that off. Like, even if you just held it for like a second and played it off like you were falling, then Larkin and Debrincat are going up the ice for a 2-on-1, and between those two, they probably would have scored. But no, you had to hold on to Caulfield's stick for like 5 to 10 fucking seconds just so that way you can take the penalty, and because hockey is fucking poetic, Caulfield scores the overtime goal to win the game because you're down 4-3 It's a 4v3 because you took a dumbass penalty and it cost your team. You gotta sit Reimer and play Lion. Straight up, you have to sit Lion or play Lion and sit Reimer, especially after that. Like, it sucks because their decision to not play Lion at all during the season so far means that they have to play Reimer in this Sweden trip because Lion hasn't played at all. Lion needs to go down to Grand Rapids, likely for a conditioning stint, so that way when he comes back up, he'll be ready to play. And oh my god, I don't understand what the logic is behind any of this. It's horrible. Like, that tangent almost had nothing to do with this game, realistically. But especially after what Reimer did, you have to sit him at some point. Like, either that, or you gotta regularly rotate these guys in and out of the lineup. Just, I don't know, just so that way they're not all playing. Like, it's obvious this season Husso can't play 50 fucking games again. It's not going to happen. And if you're going to insist on carrying 3 goaltenders, you have to play all 3 of them. Because, let's face it, all 3 of them are not starter caliber goaltenders. They're just not. I love Husso, and I've loved Husso since he was signed. And he may be the bona fide starter for this team, but none of them are long-term starters. And yes, Husso was never meant to be the long-term starting solution for Detroit. That's obvious. He was supposed to be a 1B for Nedeljkovic. When that didn't work out, he's just there to wait until Kos is ready. And until then, if you're going to insist on, like I said, if you're going to insist on carrying 3 goalies, you got to rotate them. But enough of that tangent. I'm going to make a whole video on that as well. That was pretty much a sneak peek of it. But yes, Detroit loses to Montreal 3-2 in overtime. They got the point, thankfully. Did we deserve a point in that game? Probably not. But they got the point. They don't ask how, they ask how many. And thankfully, because at that point, we are still second in the Atlantic. And then we get to the good news of this video. They won against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday. And oh, thank God that they did yesterday. Oh my God, am I so thankful that they did. Because if they lost this game, then there would be some serious questions about where this team is going to stand. Not because Columbus is a bad team, or anything. Granted, Columbus is a pretty bad team right now. But losing out those 2 points, and it'd be horrible because you really needed these 2 points going into Sweden. Because going into Sweden, you're going to be playing an Ottawa Senators team that's pissed off and desperate. 4 points. They're dead last in the division with 12 points, I think. And then you're going up against a Toronto Maple Leafs who's also fairly pissed off. Been on a bit of a heater lately. Their core 4 is scoring like crazy. And, they've got solid goaltending in net. And they want to be back at the top where they should be. So going into this, you really needed these 2 points, and it's not really a buffer at all between any of the teams in the middle, but you needed these 2 points to be able to have a chance to stay there. So face stats, 28-22 shots on goal in favor of Detroit. Face-offs, they dominated the face-off circle, 61.5% to Columbus's 38.5%. Nobody scored on the power play in this game, even in penalty minutes. hits 13-12 in favor of Columbus, blocks 24-15 in favor of Detroit. Getting into the goals here, Raymond with a sick move. That was filthy. He did a fake out wraparound, and it was beautiful to lock in his 5th of the season with an assist from Compher. Then, very soon after, Fabbri comes back, gets his 1st of the season, and it's a 2-0 game with an assist from Fischer and Petrie. Petrie played pretty decently. One of the I think it was the 3rd Columbus goal was almost a direct response to what he did. He pinched at the wrong time, got caught flat-footed, pretty much a breakaway, and granted, Husso should have stopped it, because Husso did not look good this game whatsoever. Like, a lot of the goals were pretty much on him. Yeah, Petrie earned if you follow me on Twitter, I tweeted out that I will give Petrie a 15% apology, because he had a pretty decent game, minus the whole getting caught flat-footed leading to a breakaway. But the lead was short-lived, because in true Detroit Red Wings fashion, they couldn't help but give up 2 more goals. So Texier from Severson to make it a 2-1 game, and then just under 2 minutes left in the period. Fantilli gets his 3rd of the season from Marchenko and Voronkov, tied 2-2 going into the second. Early in the second, 6 minutes into the second, Curley scores with an assist from Werenski and Goodbranson, making it 3-2. But Debrincat comes out of his slump with I'll give it credit's due. Petrie with the beautiful pass with his 6th assist of the season. Debrincat nets in his 10th, and it was just a solid rocket of a snapshot. It was beautiful. It was more of a wrist shot, I guess, but still, it was beautiful nonetheless. No one was stopping that. Then, a little bit after that, Sprong comes out of the little bit of a slump he's been having with his 4th of the season. Kostin gets his 1st assist of the season, making it 4-3 Detroit going into the 3rd. Then, going into the 3rd, Jake Walman with a really wonky goal. They listed it as Fabbri's goal at first. That's what they announced it as. But it was Walman's goal. He shot it. It went off the backboards, bounced in, hit Columbus's goaltender, and then went in almost identical to the Fantilli goal. Almost. Not exactly, because Fantilli got something on his. But we'll take it. Walman gets his 4th from Fischer and Veleno. And then, this was a bad turnover by Copp, realistically. I think he was just trying to get out of the zone. But in the end, he ended up turning it over. So it was a goal. It was Laine's 2nd and his, I believe, 200th career goal, making it 5-4 Detroit. But Detroit holds on to the lead, wins it in regulation, gets the 2 points, going to Sweden with the 2 points, and thank fucking God they won this game, because it was stressful for a little bit there. No, I didn't think there was a good possibility that they weren't going to be able to hold on to the lead, but thankfully they did. That's one thing you can say about this team, is that they don't give up easily anymore. If this was the Red Wings of old, going down 2-0, 3-0, 5-0, this team would have given up, taken their bag, gone, and just taken the punches as they came. Because at the end of the day, if they lose, they're not going to get the 2 points, so it doesn't matter what the goals are. That's what their MO pretty much was for the last, 2 seasons, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. Regardless, that was Detroit's Week 5 recap. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And sorry for the little bit of a goaltending rant. I'm going to make a whole video on it at some point as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is, as always, the Max Canadian, and I will talk to you guys later. Adios.